Hey, what's up guys? My name's James Diamond and welcome to my new series here on Sonic Academy. It's how to make uplifting trance. Hopefully you would have watched the intro and playthrough episode where you would have heard that we're going to be making an uplifting trance track but also bringing influences from Psy and Tech Trance. In this video we're going to be looking at the setup and we're going to talk a little bit about the mix down process. So when it comes to mixing down my tracks, I like to look for three different things. The first one would be making the mix sound as warm as possible. The next would be making each element sound as big as possible. And then lastly, making the overall mix as clean as possible. Now the way that I do this is by using a variety of different plugins. And I like to use software versions which are modeled on their hardware counterparts. Now what this means is, for example, if we look at the Mag EQ4, this software, this plugin it was originally a hardware piece of kit, so a physical piece of hardware, and they've created the software version of it. So it's 99.9% the same as the hardware version. The reason that I like it is because it's got these set EQ bands, so you can't change where you want to EQ, and the same with the Q bands. The reason that it's set is, of course, it's the same as the original hardware, where you wouldn't be able to change the kind of frequency ranges as easily, and it brings the characteristics of the hardware to the plugin version. And I don't just use these kind of hardware or software counterparts in just EQ. I use them with kind of compressors and console emulations also. So in terms of setup for the project, as you can see, we're on the master channel here, and we're going to activate the Mag EQ. And from experience, I just know that I like to add a little bit of EQ onto the master channel just to help the mix overall. So first of all, I'm going to go down to the 40 Hz section and just bump that up by 0.5 dB. And then I'm going to go to the air band section here. So this is the top end. As you can see, we've got different bands. I'm going to go all the way to 40 Hz or 40,000 Hz, I should say. So basically, obviously, the human here can really only hear up to about 20,000 Hertz. And so you're thinking, well, why would there be a 40,000 Hertz kind of range? And as we can see here, it's actually a high shelf. So we're not really going to be able to hear much after 20,000 Hertz. Well, with this particular plugin, it's got an incredibly smooth kind of air band. So rather than adding on an EQ and just kind of doing a high shelf, which might make the mix sound a little bit kind of harsh on the high end, this air band has a very, very smooth high end, high shelf that just really makes your mix sound nice and crisp and clean and has that nice sparkle on the top end. This can also be used for mastering. It's an incredibly versatile piece of kit. So I'm going to up the air band by about 5 dB. Obviously that does sound quite a lot, but remember, we're not going to be hearing massive amount of boost because we can only really hear up to about 20,000 Hertz. So everything in between 20 and 40, we're not really going to be hearing much of it. But like I said, it adds a real nice sparkle and a clean sound to your top end. So after that, I want to add the Slate Digital Virtual Mix Bus. Basically what this is, it's a console emulation plugin. So again, we're trying to create and replicate that nice warm analog sound. And as you can see here, we've got 5 different consoles to choose from. They will each have their own individual characteristics. From experience, I like to have the RC tube on my master channel, as I know this gives a little bit of extra low end warmth and some clarity in the kind of mids and high. You've also got the drive section here, which will just push the sound through the kind of console emulation a little bit more. I'm just going to leave that at 0 for the time being. Next, we just have a limiter, just a fruity limiter, and all I'm doing is just going to up the gain a little bit. This is because I like to mix quite low on the mixer channel, just to ensure nothing's clipping, and then I just pull the kind of gain back up on the master channel. And lastly, we're going to be using the Span, Voxengo Span. This is a free plugin from Voxengo. You can grab it from their website, and it's just a frequency analyzer. If you're used to any of my other kind of videos on Sonic Academy, you would have seen that this is something that I use quite a lot to measure the kind of frequencies and the overall mix. So that's it for this episode. A little recap just before we get into actually creating the track. The main reason that I'm using these kind of software versions of hardware analog kit is because I want to try and replicate that nice warm hardware sound into the digital realm, bringing the characteristics of the hardware kind of pieces of kit into the digital realm to really kind of make my track sound less digital, so that it doesn't sound, as if everything has been made within the box, within, the digital realm, that at least I'm giving some sort of kind of hardware characteristics into the project. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a little bit hard to get your head around, but as we go through the series, it'll become a lot more clear on exactly how I'm kind of setting this up and why I'm using them. And I'll try to explain my best of why we're using them. Cool. So I'll see you in the next episode.